What's going on? Is your man Jose, aka the Dominican Dream, for the Boxing Roundtable, and I am ready to talk boxing. I'm going to make this video as brief as possible, but as packed as possible with information because I just thought I was recording and I went in and come to find out the camera was not recording, the phone was not recording. And you guys already know how that is. That is horrible. Anyone who makes content can understand the frustration that brings. Shout out to Terrence Bud Crawford for his whitewash victory over Saul Canelo Alvarez, going up 2 weight classes, really 3, and ridiculing Saul Canelo Alvarez, and doing so without even having to resort to extraordinary tactics. There was nothing that he had to do that was extraordinary in order to beat the flat footed, non thinking Canelo Alvarez. This man, to beat Canelo Alvarez, all he had to do, all he did was use his jab, use mid to range, mid mid range to outside distance, and use his feet. Those 3 things. He used his feet, made sure he was mid range to outside distance, and used his jab. And with that, he was able to disarm the much bigger, much stronger Canelo Alvarez. And he has to get credit and merit for that. Whether it was Canelo or whether it was anyone else that he beat at 168, but it was the best 168 pounder, the current best 168 pounder, and the hardest hitting 168 pounder. So still, although Canelo is a product of Televisa, a product of great matchmaking, uh, as I've said here for many years, people that know me, the YouTube channel has been on for like 2 years, but we used to have a podcast. Boxing Roundtable has been around for close to 15 years, and I've always been a big detractor of Canelo and pointed out many of his flaws, including calling him a bump, not a bump, but to be hyped up as you were, and I disagreed with so many people who dared to call him one of the all-time Mexican greats, and even calling him the best, and even call him the all-time greatest Mexican fighter ever. I disagreed with those people, and I even pointed out here on the channel that that is simply laughable and something that I've said for years. You can't gobble the hype. This guy's a pretty face, redhead, not your typical looking Mexican. He has power. He does have charisma, and Televisa milked that. Then De La Hoya hopped on that and promoted him greatly. The man had about 40 something fights before he fought a real fighter. Never beat anybody great. Never beat. When he fights great fighters, he loses. Terrence Crawford, Floyd Mayweather, Dimitri Bivol. Eslandi Lara was a close fight, and many people thought Lara won the fight. I thought Canelo got the decision correctly because he was the one pursuing the fight, and he was the name, and that's how it is in boxing. You have to really whitewash the name, as you guys saw Saturday night. It was a whitewash, and Crawford still got scorecards of 112 to 115, when clearly that was a 9-3, 8-4, if you're kind to Canelo Alvarez. Shout out to Terrence Crawford. He's up there, and he's up there. This accomplishment is up there with Roy Jones defeating John Ruiz at heavyweight, jumping up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. That feat is going to go down in history and by accolades. Crawford is going to be one of the most accomplished fighters from 135, from 130 to 135 to now 168 pounds. Canelo Alvarez, shame on you. I do the show here with someone else, and we messaged before the fight, hours before the fight, and I told him, I pointed out the lack of intelligence on the part of Canelo, the ridiculous move on the part of Canelo, of, like Max Kellerman pointed out, coming in lean. and making statements like, oh, I'm going to have to do everything and use everything to beat Terrence Crawford. When you are the much bigger man, 3 weight classes above, you don't. What are you training to come and lean for? What are you training trying to match speed or boxing with, or athleticism or athletic ability with? You stupid son of a bitch. That's not what you do when you are the much bigger man. You have to use those advantages, and you have to come in to the weigh-in with those advantages. You can't come and give your advantage up. Crawford gave up size. Crawford gave up stage. Crawford gave up. He fought him with no rehydration clause. He fought him at the full 168, no catch weight. He gave up size. He gave up age. He gave up stage. And still, he didn't defeat you, Canelo. He ridiculed you. Shout out to Terrence Bud Crawford for making it look easy. And make no mistake about it. He mentioned in the post-fight press conference that it was not easy. He said it may have looked that way. I made it look that way, but it wasn't easy. And of course it wasn't easy, because you got a guy 185, 190 pounds in front of you. You got that body, you got those shoulders in front of you. And to be able to disarm this guy, you have to use everything. You have to be alert at all times. You have to use your wit. You have to use your intelligence. You have to use your athleticism. You have to use your stamina. And Terrence Crawford was able to do that. And he offset and disarmed Canelo Alvarez. And he even took his punches. There were many times where he said no, but most of the time no means yes in boxing. He shook his head. Canelo caught him with some good shots to the body, but he felt some of those. Of course he did, but not enough to have hurt him. So he wasn't hurt at any point in the fight, to the body or to the head. You know, he might have clenched his elbows a little bit. Canelo's a hard-hitting guy, but it was not enough to take him out of his game plan. It was not enough to hurt him and change the trajectory of the fight. For Crawford to be able to do this, you have to give him his props, his credit, regardless of how hyped up Canelo has always been, of how much of a farce he has always been. And I've been a big detractor of Canelo Alvarez. Like I said, I have receipts in the vault of me criticizing and even calling Canelo a bum. He's not a bum. He's a strong fighter. He's a guy that, yes, is a pretty face, not your typical looking Mexican, and was propped up by Televisa and then later by Oscar de la Hoya, and Mexicans took a liking to him. He's the ultimate product of promotion, but he did become dedicated to his craft, and he did get a lot better. He implemented head movement later on in his career. He worked a little bit on the stamina. He never had great stamina, but he is a guy that is naturally very, very strong, has explosive hands, good hand speed. Yes, he's flat-footed. Yes, he's not an intelligent fighter, but still, with that limited talent that he had, he did work on it, and he did become a top-notch fighter in the divisions that he fought, but never a great fighter. He never beat a great fighter. Even Triple G never beat a great fighter. Triple G was another guy that I was never big on, because there is no one name in the resume of these guys that you can call great. Besides people that Canelo brought up from another weight class, or that were too old, that whether that be a finished Sugar Shane Mosley, whether that be a much smaller Miguel Cotto, bar those guys, he has not beaten any great fighter. Dimitri Bivol, Floyd Mayweather, Terrence Crawford all showed that Canelo could never compete against an elite fighter. Shout out to Terrence Crawford. Unbelievable to say, but now the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. You guys already know. Share, like, and subscribe.